What does it take sort of mentally and physically to do that? Especially at that time. I mean, you had Roger, Rafa, Djokovic, Murray, and I think obviously you were probably best suited to the hard and the grass. So
Yep.
maybe there were certain parts of the season that were more important for you than others. What does it sort of take to have that consistent level of production in terms of results throughout the course of a year and then doing that for a few years to be in that sort of top 10, top five
Yeah,
range?
I think it's about just putting in the work day in and day out. Like it's never a guarantee of like when it all shows up, and there's everybody on tour does it, right? And I think that's why you see everybody knows nowadays how they need to train. It's pretty democratized in that sense. Like everybody on tour now warms up properly. Everybody does a proper like recovery. I remember like when I got on tour, like it was quite, you'd see quite a wide variety outside of ATP events of what everybody did, right? Or players would go out and stuff. Like that's kind of got washed out. Like everybody realizes like what needs to be done. For me, I was like lucky to have a weapon. Like a lot of part of like for me competing wise um depends on me, right? I think also mentality wise, I grew up with that, right? And no, well aware of like it doesn't matter how much my back end improves in these kind of things. If I don't serve well, like I got much bigger problems, right? So for me, that made a big difference. I just always worked hard, put my head down. Um, I was always paranoid, like, did I do enough? And just kind of like, if I did something, I always felt like, could I do more? Could I do more? Could I do more? And to be honest with you, it's my greatest kind of probably attribute in terms of like my career. But at this point, like I wish also I could have chilled out because it's probably burnt me out mentally and physically in a lot of senses, where these injuries have become an issue, right? Once you get older, you got to start slowing down. But then it's like, I made it because I did all the work, right? So do
Yeah.
you want to abandon that part, like where doctors, train, everybody's around telling you, like, hey, you don't have to do as much. You don't have to do as much. But then it's like, but that's also then you're abandoning what one of your key, like, characteristics is, or even how you, not only, it doesn't matter how other people see it, but how you value yourself. And it's like, I know what got me here, but then try to forget it a little bit to kind of stay here has been definitely a big mental kind of battle for me.
It's interesting to me. So like we're kids, we have these dreams like, yo, I want to win a slam, I want to be top five in the world. And then you get there and you tell me that there's a paranoia to it to sort of keep this level, to stay here. Is there such thing, or at least for you, as living the dream? Like, were you there and like, oh, this life is unreal, or is it constant like stress and like a protective sort of vibe for you, where you feel like I have to sort of protect this thing that I've built?
I don't know if it was necessarily protective. I just always felt like if I didn't do everything, I wouldn't get where I wanted to. So I wasn't
Okay.
like, hey, I got to protect being top 10. I got to protect like these things. I had a coach one time that told me like, hey, if you don't want to worry about defending points, don't get them in the first place. Right? Like
Yeah.
naturally in this world, like if you want to get somewhere, you're going to face that aspect of it. Um, for me, it was just like I always felt like I just got caught up in like what's the next thing. And I mean, playing finals of Wimbledon didn't necessarily like have the fortitude to really enjoy that moment. All these kind of things. I was just like wondering what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing. And I think that's why I'll probably look back at it and like I wish there was just moments I slowed down and enjoyed it more. I remember even 2011. So I break through. I go from like 150 in the world to top 30 in like 6 weeks. Like it, I get on this like great run.
Jesus.
Like it
Yeah.
changes everything for me.
Yeah.
Um, and I just go from one tournament to the next, to the next, to the next, and then went straight into clay. Always was like aware of maybe I wasn't going to play clay well at that point, but if I wanted to make the career last, I needed to get better on it, and it'll make me better on the other surfaces as well. So just never had to slow down, and I ended up slipping at Wimbledon. I think first or second round match, court three versus Gilles Muller. and I end up having to have hip surgery. And everybody's like, "Hey, that's about 4 to 6 weeks to like come back from." I was back in like 6.5 weeks. My first I had surgery, I think like just after July 4th weekend, and I was back playing 3 out of 5 sets for Davis Cup in
What
September.
what was
That's
the hip
insane.
surgery?
A labral repair.
That took me that
Jody
took me
took 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, exactly. So I just like got caught up in like I got to get to the next thing. Like I never really like slowed down and that kind of thing. And I really wish there's certain. I mean, I don't wish my recovery in that instance took longer, but there's certain things that I just wish I could have had the patience to just like stop for a second and be like, hey, this is pretty great. Like this is a
I
pretty
think
great
that's a
thing I get to enjoy and live through.
I think that's a product of just being so successful because I mean, I guess what you deem in your mind is successful because like for me, I feel like I struggled a lot in my career. I never broke through into a thousand in singles and I switched to doubles. Then I was in the 400s, 300s for like a year. And then finally this year I started to do well at the challenges and I just remember the day I played my first challenger final, I woke up in the morning. I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy all of the day, like from the
Mm.
morning till the end, you know. And I think that's because I kind of felt like, wow, like I'm really starting to get to the place where I want to be at. Whereas maybe in your career when you played, like you had a lot of quick successes, like blowing through levels and, like you said, like early rise in the ATPs and that sort of stuff. So maybe it's a little bit more challenging for you to just be like, wow, this is nice. Let me just enjoy this because you're, like you said, you're already programmed to like, what's next? You know, like Wimbledon final, what's next? You know, what's next?
Yeah, I mean, but it's in my tennis. It's in everything. You know, um, I can like enjoy a moment at a time, but like friends, family will kind of be like, "Hey, what are you thinking about?" And I'm like already on to like the next thing, and like I just get caught up in that, get in my own little world, and get caught up on like the next thing, and that chase, that progress, just like being able to like plan things out and think like, okay, what can I do to get better? To me, is that's the joy, right? I always say there's two kind of tennis players or two kind of athletes. You have the ones that enjoy winning and the ones that hate losing. For me, I just hated
Mm.
losing. Like I would never. There's not really many moments like that I would say like that was a great moment that I really enjoyed. And you can see it on players. Like I think it's like different when you see Roger win. You actually see like a person that really enjoys the moment. I mean, he was quite emotional in a lot of different big moments that everybody got to see. And then you can look at like Novak to me, like, or even Rafa, like they win, and you look at their face, and it's almost like a sigh of relief, like they didn't lose that match, right? So I think those are the two approaches, and I definitely was on like just hate losing, whatever it's at. That was like I just don't want to have that experience. And then
So
obviously, naturally, the opposite of that is winning, right? So, and that's how
yeah.
you're kind of measured by.
Thanks for watching this
So
clip. If you want to watch the full episode, the link is in the description down below.